How many of y'all have watched any shows like Law and Order or Criminal Minds? With this, a lot of times in these shows, a scene pops up where a crime is committed and the victim is brought into the police station and a bunch of suspects are lined up against a wall and she or he is asked to identify them. This is something that is called an eyewitness testimony. According to a study from the University of Manchester Neuroscience and Experimental Psychology Research, Saul McLeod, he defines an eyewitness testimony as a legal term referring to an account given by a people of an event, whether the identification or perpetrators or details of the crime scene they have witnessed. Juries generally find it a reliable source of information. However, cognitive and human research in this area has found that this type of eyewitness testimony can be affected by the external and internal mental factors that shape the way people perceive things. Eyewitness testimony is one of the oldest forms of evidence used in the courtroom, and although a lot of identifications using this system considered to be accurate, it continues to put many innocent individuals behind bars. Eyewitness testimonies should not be diminished, but I believe that it should be taken into consideration that certain psychological factors such as stress, reconstructive memory, and weapon focus can diminish the reliability of this form of evidence. It is clear that subconsciously, memories are altered by external and mental factors that one can truly believe that they are picking the right person when in reality they are not. Research has shown that 160 U.S. judges surveyed only averaged 55% correct and on a 14-item knowledge scale of eyewitness factors. Research on memory, such as rodent studies, have observed that stress impairs recalling events perception. Perception is what memory depends on, and it is highly selective. People believe that one thing happened and they get confused and they end up locking up other innocent people. This in turn ruins families, lives, and careers. Another psychological factor altering our memory is weapon focus. Whenever one is involved in a situation involving a weapon, attention is usually drawn immediately to the weapon and not their person obtaining it or their surroundings that they're more focused on. They're focused on the weapon itself. It is unintentional and an automatic response. This results in a lack of attention to who is inflicting the crime. Therefore, some misidentifications can occur down the road. It is essential to take into consideration that eyewitnesses may not have been entirely observant to the offender. One person who faced this unjust circumstance was Ronald Cotton. I'm using him as an example, as 11 years of Ronald Cotton's life was taken away after he was put in prison after his accuser, Erin Tornillo, misidentified her assaulter and said it was him. Cotton was so sure of his innocence that he brought himself to the police station to straighten out any questions that he had committed this crime. It was not until DNA testing that overturned this case and set Cotton free from the wrongful conviction. In this case, Jennifer thought that she was undoubtedly choosing the wrong person in the lineup and locking up the person who raped her. However, she was so surprised to find that 11 years later, she sent an innocent man to jail. Eyewitness testimonies are an unreliable source of identification that has been proven by Cotton's case that no matter how sure the witness may seem, there is a chance of mistaken identity. Another example of this is Stephen Avery. Stephen Avery was also a victim to this system's unjust reliance of evidence. His accuser, Penny Bernstein, was raped as she was jogging on the beach. With the intent of putting away the man who raped her in jail, she studied faces and told the sheriff that it was this man, Stephen Avery. They immediately suspected him and put him in jail. She identified him in the photo lineup and the live lineup. Although information received connecting another man, Gregory Allen, to the rape, Avery, even with an alibi, was sentenced to 30 years in jail. Programs such as the Innocence Project have a mission to liberate those who have been wrongfully convicted. They have sought out to free the innocent. Since 1989, 254 people have been falsely accused and sentenced to death because of an eyewitness testimony. The court system should rely heavily on biological and trace evidence as a new policy. These types of evidence use advanced technology. Most of the time, in the instance of a crime, there is always some form of evidence left behind, whether it is the human eye can identify it and see it or not. Things such as hairs, fibers, fingerprints can all be tested and traced back to one suspect. Technology is less prone to error than the human eye and is fortunately not affected by stress or anxiety. More accurate evidence is expected to be given from technology because it is expected that 1 in 5 trillion people will have the same DNA. Even with the potential for unreliability, in result, eyewitness testimony and applicable will always be a part of the criminal investigation. Therefore, it should not be abolished, but it should have some changes made that is crucial to benefit our judicial system. The brain is not perfect. It is not a system or a video camera. Memories are added and modified unconsciously. One can truly and confidently believe they are telling the truth and identifying a correct suspect when in reality they are identifying an innocent man or woman. Although it can be convincing when a victim points out that they are 100% sure that this person was affecting their lives in a negative way, it is important to recognize the factors that play with the human mind.